This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning. It's Wednesday, November 26th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
The White House says the renewed push to end Russia's war in Ukraine is gaining momentum.
We should seize this momentum.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Democratic lawmakers who appeared in a social media video say that the FBI has contacted them to begin scheduling interviews. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The mystery around a missing football coach deepens. Police are now issuing warrants for his arrest. I'm Joan Jones.
Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser says she will not seek re-election.
We are going to continue to need more police.
Jennifer King, Washington.
On Wall Street, markets open today after a rally on hope for an interest rate cut next month by the Fed. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
4 more people are under arrest in Paris in connection with the $102 million jewel heist at the Louvre Museum. I'm Julie Walker.
All ahead on America in the Morning. The Trump administration's envoy to Russia will be meeting his Kremlin counterpart. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky wants to have a meeting with President Trump. European leaders want peace in the region but have serious security questions. And President Trump remains optimistic a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine is in sight. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani has more on the latest over the U.S. peace proposal to end the Russian war in Ukraine.
There is no final version of any peace framework so far. So the document that was presented to Ukraine and discussed in Geneva was significantly transformed, and it reflects a lot of things that Ukraine wanted to put there or to change or to exclude from this plan.
The White House says the renewed push to end Russia's war in Ukraine is gaining momentum. President Trump says there's progress.
I've also ended 8 wars in 9 months, and we're working on that final war. It's not easy, but I don't know. I think we're going to get there. 25,000 soldiers, Ukraine, Russia. In the last month, 25,000 soldiers have died. So I think we're getting very close to a deal. We'll find out.
Spokeswoman Caroline Levitt says while there are still delicate details to sort out, they are not insurmountable. In Paris,
we should seize this momentum.
French President Emmanuel Macron virtually addressed the so-called Coalition of the Willing, along with the UK's Keir Starmer, as Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky watched.
In large part, the majority of the text looks as though Volodymyr is indicating can be accepted.
A U.S. official says Army Secretary Dan Driscoll spent several hours in Abu Dhabi with Russian officials who have not said much about the plan. Top diplomat Sergei Lavrov says Moscow's waiting to officially receive an interim version.
Those who represent diplomacy and politics in Europe do exactly the opposite. The aim of those leaks, constant speculations, spreading rumors, is only one. In this case, the aim is to undermine Donald Trump's incentive in the part which reflects understandings reached in Anchorage.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The FBI has begun contacting Democratic lawmakers who appeared in a controversial video calling for U.S. troops to not follow illegal orders, a video blasted by President Trump as seditious behavior. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports.
Democratic lawmakers who appeared in a social media video urging U.S. troops to defy illegal orders say that the FBI has contacted them to begin scheduling interviews, signaling a possible inquiry into the matter.
Senator Mark Kelly well knows the rules of the military and the respect that one must have for the chain of command, and that all lawful orders are presumed to be legal by our service members. You can't have a functioning military if there is disorder and chaos within the ranks, and that's what these Democrat members were encouraging. It's very clear.
The Pentagon has already announced that it is investigating Democratic Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona over potential violations of military law.
Just this week, he did this. Threatened our lives, said we should be hanged because of something we said. This is dangerous, and this kind of rhetoric, especially from a president of the United States, makes us all less safe.
President Donald Trump accused the lawmakers of sedition, punishable by death in a social media post.
This is a scare tactic by him. He is attempting to use the FBI to scare us out of continuing to talk.
Democratic Senator Alyssa Slotkin of Michigan.
To be honest, the president's reaction and the use of the FBI against us is exactly why we made the video.
The Democratic senator also says that she is beefing up security for her family to ward off potential threats to their safety.
They knew what they were doing in this video, and Senator Mark Kelly and all of them should be held accountable for that.
I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. It's the Sleep Number Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with cozy, soothing comfort. Save on mattress and base bundles, plus free premium delivery. Limited time, only at Sleep Number or sleepnumber.com. Nationwide manhunt for a missing high school football coach. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues. Bad travel weather on a day we need good travel weather. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
There is some rather difficult travel in store today from the upper Midwest into parts of the Great Lakes, thanks to a storm intensifying as it crosses through northern Michigan, while fairly strong high pressure settles in close behind that storm over the Dakotas. This massive difference in pressure across a short distance will lead to very strong winds continuing over the Great Lakes and parts of the Midwest, with gusts over 35 miles per hour causing blowing and drifting snow that reduces visibility to a quarter mile or less in some spots for 3 hours or more. That is the definition of a blizzard, and those conditions are expected today from central Minnesota to northwestern Wisconsin and all around all but the easternmost shores of Lake Superior, even for areas where it's not actively snowing, because it doesn't have to be snowing to be a blizzard. However, total snowfall of 12 to 18 inches can be expected from far northern Wisconsin through the northwestern suburbs of Marquette, Michigan, with at least 1 to 3 inches of snow from central Wisconsin to northwestern lower Michigan. Another zone with at least slow travel at times extends to the east and the south of there along much of the east coast, where a cold front clearing the coast will mean showers at times from the Florida Panhandle through the mid-Atlantic, where there can be thunder at times through New England and the interior northeast, even into the Appalachians as far south as Tennessee. In fact, enough cold air pours in behind the cold front to turn rain showers to snow showers in places like Detroit. Rain and snow can be expected in northern Idaho and western Montana, with rain along the Washington-Oregon border. Showers and storms also dot South Texas, but many other places look dry. In Pittsburgh, today looks cloudy and breezy with some showers as temperatures fall from an early high of 58 to the mid-40s. For Amarillo, it's mostly sunny and dry today, the high 54. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. It's 16 after. A beloved and well-respected high school football coach has been missing for a week, and the search for him in rural Virginia has turned into a manhunt after allegations of crimes against children surfaced. Joan Jones has details.
This Turner was in the middle of an undefeated season with his players at Union High School in the southwest corner of Virginia. He's described as a celebrated member of a community that highly values its football team. But when police attempted to interview him at his home last Thursday over an unknown issue, they were told he had left the family home and hasn't been seen since. Rumors have been swirling, prayers have been sent for his safe return. Then came this breaking news from nearby television station WJHL.
We have breaking news just into our newsroom. Virginia State Police has announced charges against missing Union High School football coach Travis Turner. Turner is wanted on 10 counts total. That includes 5 counts of possession of child pornography and 5 counts of using a computer to solicit a minor. Police are still looking for Turner, who disappeared last Thursday.
And more charges are expected, say police. Now considered a fugitive, his wife is speaking out, telling the Daily Mail that Turner has been a good father and a good husband. The search for her husband has included drones, dogs, and rescue teams, according to police. The high school will only say that a staffer remains on leave and is not permitted on school property or to have contact with students. Waiting to see now if the FBI will step in to help find the missing coach. I'm Joan Jones.
Muriel Bowser, the mayor of the District of Columbia, will not run for a 4th term. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
In a letter posted on social media, Bowser called it an immense privilege to have worked alongside district residents. The mayor drew national attention for her leadership style during the COVID pandemic, Black Lives Matter protests, and the January 6th Capitol riot, although the past year has been one of the most tumultuous. The mayor found herself walking a fine line after President Trump issued an emergency order that federalized the city's police force and sent in National Guard troops on a mission to reduce crime.
We are going to continue to need more police. We continue to need more prosecutors, more judges, more effective prevention programs.
D.C. residents bore the brunt of frozen funding and significant cuts to the federal workforce. Among her accomplishments were her role in bringing the NFL Commanders franchise back to the city with plans for a new stadium. Jennifer King, Washington.
When we return on America in the Morning, real estate market upended, sellers delisting. After these messages. The Business Report is sponsored by Gusto. Gusto's a simple online payroll and benefits tool built for small businesses. Learn more at gusto.com/radio. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a rally for stocks on hope for a December interest rate cut by the Fed. The Dow was up almost 700 points yesterday. The Nasdaq rose 170. A full day of trading for you today, and then the financial markets will be closed tomorrow for Thanksgiving. But there's a half day of trading on Friday, with markets closing at 1 p.m. Eastern, and then November will be in the books. Stocks are on pace for a losing month, although they're still higher for the year. Consumer confidence in November hit its lowest since last April when President Trump announced the tariffs.
We're expecting a number right around 93. Big miss here. 88.7, the weakest since April. On the present situation, 126.9, another miss. The weakest since March of 21.
CNBC's Rick Santelli. Homeowners are deciding not to sell. They're pulling their homes off the market at the fastest pace in nearly a decade.
Now we're heading into the super slow season for housing and seeing new reports that more sellers are delisting their properties. Redfin just reported nearly 85,000 U.S. sellers took their homes off the market in September, up 28% from the year before, and the highest level for that month in 8 years. I have to believe that consumer sentiment was playing into that delisting.
CNBC's Diana Olick. The Toronto Maple Leafs are the most valuable hockey team in the NHL in the new CNBC team valuation analysis at $4.3 billion. CNBC does this for every major sport. Number 2 in hockey, the New York Rangers at $3.8 billion. The NHL commissioner, Gary Bettman, came on CNBC and said, no, the league's teams are worth a lot more.
We're undervalued by CNBC. This is as much art as it is science. If you were to put the Toronto Maple Leafs on the market on their own, they would sell for far more than the $4.3 billion valuation. But it's okay because if you look at it, we're up 100% roughly over the last 3 years.
Superman #1, a copy of the first Superman comic book found by 3 brothers cleaning out their late mom's attic, went for more than $9 million at auction in Texas. It's the highest price ever paid for a comic book. On today's watch list, we find out the latest on U.S. economic growth as the now reopened government releases more data that was delayed. Durable goods orders for September will be out, things made to last a long time like washing machines and airplanes. We're going to get new home sales numbers for October. And the final season of Stranger Things launches on Netflix.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, new arrests in the Louvre Museum heist. After these messages. West Virginia Senator Jim Justice has agreed to pay nearly $5.2 million in overdue personal taxes to the IRS. His announcement comes the same day the federal government filed a lawsuit against the billionaire and former West Virginia governor, accusing him and his wife of not making full tax payments dating back to 2009. Justice owns dozens of businesses, including the historic Greenbrier Hotel and a coal company. Police in France have announced a series of arrests in the theft of priceless jewels from the Louvre Museum. Correspondent Julie Walker reports.
4 more people are under arrest in Paris in connection with the $102 million jewel heist at the Louvre Museum. The Paris prosecutor says the arrests involve 2 men and 2 women, ages 31 to 40, all from the region. The official did not specify their roles in the October 19 theft, but French media reports one of the men, a 39-year-old, is believed to be the 4th member of the team that carried out the daring daylight robbery while the famed museum was open with visitors. The other 3 alleged members of the so-called commando team were already arrested. Their DNA was found at the scene or on items linked to the robbery. A woman was arrested in October, accused of helping in the theft. The jewels have not been recovered. I'm Julie Walker.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, November 26, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Coming up this half hour.
Peace in Ukraine inching closer to reality. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
A big storm on a big travel day leads some to take no chances.
3 hours before my flights.
I'm Richard Johnson.
A slight jump in retail sales adding to months of big gains. Mike Hemp in Washington.
The nation's homeless could be facing a new reality if the Trump administration has its way. I'm Bob Brown. That story coming up.
A notorious 1979 missing child case will go to trial for a 3rd time. Julie Walker, New York.
A new Rush Hour movie is coming thanks to a surprise assist. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. America in the Morning continues. Blizzard conditions for some on this busy travel day. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
There are a few areas where the weather may hamper holiday travel conditions today, with the most obvious one, the area where a blizzard is expected to persist the longest, from mainly central Minnesota to northern parts of Michigan's Upper Peninsula and along the shores of Lake Superior in general. However, snow will at least be falling rather steadily at times from northeastern Minnesota to western lower Michigan in particular, where some squalls off Lake Michigan are also likely to cause especially difficult travel. Today's snowfall of at least 1 to 3 inches spreads from the northwestern half or so of Wisconsin through the arrowhead of Minnesota and points eastward through the Upper Peninsula, with the highest totals of 12 to 18 inches of snow likely focused on the northwestern UP. At least some less than ideal travel conditions extend through the rest of lower Michigan into parts of Ohio and West Virginia, where rain showers continue on the warm side of the same storm producing the blizzard. In fact, at least a couple of showers may occur ahead of a strong cold front from Pennsylvania north and east through New England and southward near and along the Atlantic coast straight into northern Florida, with the potential for some thunder as well right along the coast from southeastern Virginia toward the Jacksonville, Florida area. Watch for a more spotty shower or two over much of South Florida, especially toward the Atlantic side, but that should be largely inconsequential in terms of holiday travel. Outside of that, much of the rest of the southeast and really much of the south, plains, and southwest looks dry today, but another more difficult area for getting around today should be the northwest, where some steady rain is likely at times from southern Washington towards central Oregon, and rain and snow make for difficult travel conditions to the east of there into western Montana and parts of northwestern Wyoming. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The White House is preparing to send senior envoys to meet with Russian and Ukrainian leaders to finalize a peace deal that would end the war in Ukraine. And President Trump has signaled he's willing to meet with both Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky. John Stolnis has the latest from Washington.
Speaking to reporters on board Air Force One, President Trump said the 28-point plan to end the war is being fine-tuned and that he is sending Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and potentially his son-in-law Jared Kushner to meet with Vladimir Putin in the coming days to finalize the deal. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll is set to meet again with Ukrainian officials. Trump described the negotiations as encouraging.
We're having good talks. We started with Russia. We're having some talks with Russia. Ukraine is doing well. I think they're pretty happy about it. They'd like to see it end. And we won't know for a little while, but we're making progress.
One of the issues critics of the original plan had was that it forced Ukraine to give up land in the Donbas region that the Russians have not been able to win on the battlefield thus far. The president said as time goes on, the Russians would likely seize it anyway.
The way it's going, if you look, it's just moving in one direction. So eventually that's land that over the next couple of months might be gotten by Russia anyway.
The president said he might meet with Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky as the negotiations progress. For his part, Zelensky, talking with European leaders yesterday, said he's ready to meet with Trump whenever.
We are ready to move forward together with the United States of America, with personal engagement of President Trump, and with Europe, with leaders. And I'm ready to meet with President Trump.
Trump was also asked about a Bloomberg News report that detailed a transcript of a call between Witkoff and a senior Putin aide in which Witkoff helped coach the Russians on how to flatter Trump in an October phone call.
That's a standard thing, because he's got to sell this to Ukraine. He's got to sell Ukraine to Russia. That's what a deal maker does. You got to say, look, they want this. You got to convince them with this. That's a very standard form of negotiation.
Republican Congressman Don Bacon, a vocal critic of this plan he says too heavily favors Russia, called on social media for Witkoff to be fired. John Stolnis, Washington.
On this Thanksgiving Eve, we will see busy roads and packed airplanes coast to coast, many of us heading out to see relatives and also to have to contend with Mother Nature. More from correspondent Rich Johnson.
A state patrol trooper driving by dozens of collided, jackknifed, and off-the-road semis and other vehicles along Interstate 94 in Clay County, Minnesota, thanks to a huge winter storm coming down from Canada.
A blizzard warning for parts of the UP as well as northern Wisconsin. So pretty impactful storm.
National Weather Service meteorologist Joe Moore in Duluth, Minnesota, courtesy of Fox Live, referring to the big blast of Arctic air hitting his region, then moving on to Michigan's Upper Peninsula and east. And it's happening at the start of what AAA says will be the biggest ever Thanksgiving holiday travel period, with an estimated 82 million of us expected to travel. The winter storm warnings for snow, blizzard, and extreme cold have been up overnight from the upper Midwest through the Great Lakes. Some flyers are taking no chances, like this guy at Philadelphia International Airport talking to KYW-TV.
Actually, I'm 3 hours before my flights. So I'm just going to go eat, sit down, have a drink, and just wait for my flight.
That system's not the only one affecting holiday travel. The Cascade Mountains of the Pacific Northwest were blasted by early snow. The Washington State Department of Transportation's Summer Dairy tells KOMO-TV it's usually not the weather that closes the passes. It's the drivers who can't handle the weather. Her advice?
It's certainly better to get there late than to not get there at all. We need drivers to do their part, slow down, and not be the reason why I-90 closes for everyone.
And while New York City won't get snow, winds will be gusting to maybe 30 miles an hour tomorrow morning. That is not strong enough to force the grounding of the big balloons at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I'm Rich Johnson.
If you're going to be traveling by car, you may be thinking that gas prices have been the same for a while, and you'd be correct. AAA says the nationwide average price for a gallon of regular gas heading into Thanksgiving is $3.05. That's down just a penny from a week ago, but the exact same price you'd paid as you hit the road for Thanksgiving last year. A total of 29 states have gas prices averaging below $3, with Oklahoma's $2.49 the lowest average in the nation. California drivers continue to pay the highest gas prices, a statewide average of $4.59 a gallon. The latest report on retail sales shows a slight jump for both retailers and restaurants in September, but the survey also found that much of the spending was to pay for higher prices. Correspondent Mike Hempen explains.
A slight jump in retail sales, adding to months of big gains. The Commerce Department says sales at retailers rose slightly in September as consumers cut back on their spending after splurging over the summer. The report, delayed for more than a month because of the federal government shutdown, says sales rose 0.2% in September from August. This follows bigger sales increases in June, July, and August. The figures suggest Americans reduced their spending in September as many households struggled with higher prices for groceries, rent, and many imported goods hit by tariffs. Still, economists predict the higher spending should lift the economy's growth to a solid 3% annual rate in the third quarter. That's nearly double the economic growth in the first half of the year. Mike Hemp in Washington.
White House change in policy on the homeless, and holiday weekends triple the internet security threats. Those stories and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. The Trump administration is preparing a major policy change in caring for the homeless, which some cities say could wind up backfiring. Bob Brown reports the changes are prompting nearly 24 states to file a lawsuit against the government.
At least 20 states filing lawsuits against the Trump administration for eventually shifting billions of dollars in funding for permanent housing to transitional housing programs, which calls for work requirements and mandatory treatment for drug addiction and mental illness. The goal is to promote self-sufficiency, but advocates for the homeless say perhaps easier said than done. The problem is many are chronically homeless and the elderly, and the fear is where are they going to go? Kate Green, executive director of Home for All Continuum in Central Illinois, speaking on Peoria's WEEK-TV.
We simply don't have access to enough units to be able to support that. So we know these cuts will, in fact, lead to future homelessness in our community.
It's not clear just yet exactly how much money the administration is looking to cut in housing for the homeless. Some estimates put the total anywhere from more than $500 million to nearly $1 billion. More than 1,000 organizations nationwide have sent a letter to lawmakers on Capitol Hill urging HUD to renew long-term program grants for 1 year. Meantime, the new transitional housing program could take effect as early as March. I'm Bob Brown.
A Wisconsin woman who nearly killed a classmate in 2014 had a court appearance Tuesday following her escape from a group home. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
Morgan Geyser will not contest her transfer from a Cook County jail back to Wisconsin, according to a court spokesperson. The young woman who pled guilty in the 2014 Slender Man stabbing case was arrested at an Illinois truck stop on Sunday after running away from a group home in Madison. Geyser spent most of the last 8 years in a state mental institution and could have her conditional release revoked or face new charges because of the escape. She was found with a 43-year-old companion who later called WKOW-TV. The person said they met at church and that Geyser was planning to flee the group home with or without them. In video from the arrest, Geyser at first refuses to give police her real name. Footage shows one officer discovering a notebook in the couple's bags entitled Homeless Couples Guidebook. I'm Jennifer King.
A massive operation targeting underage drinking in Tempe, Arizona has led to 249 arrests at a single bar last week. Authorities targeted Tempe Tavern following reports of teenagers being served alcohol. Fox 10 Phoenix is reporting that of the 249 arrests, 246 people were cited and released, but police did take 3 teens into custody. Tempe Tavern acknowledged on social media that fake IDs have been a concern and stated that the bar scans every single ID presented at the door before entry, but noted that some fraudulent IDs can still successfully pass a scan and appear authentic. The same bar apparently is no stranger to this type of sting operation. Police said a similar sweep happened at the tavern in April and led to another 167 arrests. America in the Morning continues. In New York, prosecutors will retry a man previously convicted in the death of a missing child in the 1970s that spurred the movement to have faces of missing children displayed on milk cartons. Correspondent Julie Walker reports on the case of missing child Aiton Pates.
A notorious 1979 missing child case in New York City will go to trial for a third time. Manhattan prosecutors vowing to retry Pedro Hernandez, whose murder conviction was overturned in the disappearance of 6-year-old Eitan Pates. Hernandez's lawyers insist the 64-year-old is innocent. He was working at a nearby convenience store when Pates disappeared, walking to a school bus stop in his Soho neighborhood alone, his body never found. For years, his parents held out hope, his little face appearing on those missing ads on milk cartons. Hernandez did not become a suspect until decades later. His lawyers say he made a false confession and has a limited IQ. Julie Walker, New York.
With Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's comes computer concerns as cybersecurity threats more than tripled during the holiday season. Chuck Palm has a look in today's tech report.
Cyber threats like mobile phishing and smishing attacks quadrupled during the holidays. Banking Trojan malware mimics major retailers like Amazon or eBay, fake payment apps that snag your credentials, and even web RTC tricks to stream your screen live to the cyber crooks. More than 68% of these errors are exploiting user vulnerability, so be aware. The offending app, called Fantasy Hub, can disguise itself as an Amazon Returns app. Android phone users can fight back by turning on Scan Apps with Play Protect in the Google Play Store. And businesses can deploy on-device threat detection like Zimperium or Lookout. Pro tip, if you're shopping and detect some suspicious activity, it's always a good practice to change your password and log back in. Be sure to listen tomorrow. I'll have a top 5 list of Black Friday tech specials. Follow me on X. At Chuck Palm.
Midweek sports on America in the Morning. Here's Robert Workman.
The college football playoff poll version 4.0 has the top 5 teams the same as last week. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, and Georgia in the bye slots, with Texas Tech 5th. Oregon nosed ahead of Mississippi into 6th, with Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and Alabama rounding out the top 10. As of today, ACC leader Miami and Tulane from the group of 5 would make the 12-team playoff field. The last weekend of the regular season coming up, plenty of rivalry games after Thanksgiving. Saturday, number 1 Ohio State is at number 15 Michigan. On Friday, number 2 Indiana is at Purdue, number 3 Texas A&M visits number 16 Texas, and 4th-ranked Georgia meets number 23 Georgia Tech at the Dome in Atlanta. NBA, the Wizards snapped a 14-game losing streak, hammering the Hawks 132-113. CJ McCollum had 46 points as Washington went wire-to-wire for just their second victory in 17 games this season. Coach Brian Keefe.
That's a big deal. We want to win. Our guys are disappointed when they don't, but it just shows you what we're capable of. Now we got to continue to stack it.
The Magic slammed the 76ers 144-103. Anthony Black had 31 off the bench, one of 9 Orlando players to score in double figures. And Luka Doncic had 43 points, Austin Reeves 31, as the Lakers sank the Clippers 135-118. NHL, the Stars dazzled the Oilers 8-3 in the only game on the ice. That's Wednesday Sports.
Another presidential pardon, just in time for Thanksgiving, when America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues. An old movie franchise is getting another shot at the big screen with a hat tip to President Trump. Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr has details.
A decades-old movie franchise is getting an unlikely new sequel.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
The possibility of a Rush Hour 4 has been knocking around Hollywood for years. Now Paramount has struck a deal to distribute the film. The unlikely catalyst was, believe it or not, President Donald Trump, a fan of the franchise who pushed Paramount to make the deal.
In Hong Kong, I'm Michael Jackson. You are Toto.
Me, Tito.
Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker are expected to return, as will director Brett Ratner. His most recent film is a $40 million documentary about Melania Trump for Amazon, which she described to Fox News earlier this year.
It's a day-to-day life
what I'm doing.
The success of a new Rush Hour movie is not guaranteed. With the exception of this year's Karate Kid reboot, the now 71 Jackie Chan has not starred in a successful live-action American film in years.
You go this way, and I'll go that way.
And 2007's Rush Hour 3 was the last movie Chris Tucker headlined.
You destroyed half a city block.
That block was already messed up.
And you lost a lot of evidence.
Still got a little bit left.
Plus, the budget of the first film was $35 million, but ballooned to $140 million by the third movie.
And who you think you kidnapped, Chelsea Clinton?
Even Chan acknowledged the runaway costs in a BuzzFeed interview earlier this year.
First one, little money, little time. The second one, lot of money, lot of time. The third one, too much money, too much time.
I'm Kevin Carr.
2 turkeys in particular will not find their way to a Thanksgiving table as President Trump handed out pardons during an annual White House ritual that also came with a side order of political humor. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
The president's given ceremonial pardons to a pair of turkeys.
Gobble and waddle.
Though he joked they could have been named Chuck and Nancy, as in Schumer and Pelosi.
But then I realized I wouldn't be pardoning them. I would never pardon those 2 people.
The president also took a shot at predecessor Joe Biden, saying the last turkey pardons were done with an auto pen.
He used an auto pen last year for the turkey's pardon. So I have the official duty to determine, and I have determined that last year's turkey pardons are totally invalid.
And got in a crack at Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, who has rebuffed his planned National Guard deployment in Chicago.
I refuse to talk about the fact that he's a fat slob. I don't mention it.
When the president finally got to the issue at hand,
you are hereby unconditionally pardoned.
That was for gobble. Waddle was not outside.
Want to give us a gobble?
Though the turkey did make a briefing room appearance earlier. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
America in the Morning for Wednesday, November 26, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.